Leader Fan Radio Network.
Sorry, KFAN.
And KFAN.com. 1 minute, 55 seconds past the hour of 3 o'clock. That is, of course, Central Standard Time. Let me start there, actually. How are all of you doing? So I'm not asking about the election. I'm asking about the ability to cope with the time change. It's been almost a week now. How are you doing? Are you okay? Did you have to talk to anybody about it? Were there any significant adjustments that you needed to make in your lifestyle? Or did you get past all the burdens, both mental and physical, that experts say we should associate with this traumatic change? I want you to know I'm here for you. I'm thinking about you. And if you need to reach out, we're your helping hand. Bradshaw and Brian, KFAN text line 64686. Guardsy's not here to help today. He is on his way to Rutgers. I don't know where they're flying into. Maybe Newark. Not sure. But the Gophers, some of you may know, are back in action tomorrow. Early game, I believe. 11 o'clock start. 11:10. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights. So Guardsy's out today, although he did join me. Funny. For Enough Said, which will be on late on both Fox 9 and Fox 9 Plus because there's so much sports stuff going on. But it's on, nevertheless. And it will be available to you tonight. You can also get it online via fox9.com and the Fox 9 app. And now Lori Fisher, she's listening. She's going to be mad at me because it has a special name, the Fox 9 app, and I can't remember what it is. I'll find it in a minute. So Guardsy out, and that means Brett Blickmore. Brett Blickmore is indeed in today. And my name's Dan Barreiro. I host the program. We will be with you. Are we going the distance today? I didn't
going
even
the
check.
distance.
6:30 tonight. So we're going all the way after having a couple of short shows. Yesterday we were out at 5:40. Man, it's a beautiful, beautiful toy department doubleheader on the Fan last night, was it not? Could it have gone any better? Timberwolves, they played with their food too much. They looked like they might be in serious trouble in the Windy City against the Bulls, but then they exploded with a 45-point or 47-point fourth quarter?
Believe.
And also finally played just a semblance of a defense. And then your club, despite getting jobbed by the officials a couple times, a couple goals taken away, we still pretty much dominate the not-so-good San Jose Sharks. So if you're a winter sports fan, it's a big night on the Fan last night because one game followed the other, all of the action on FM 100.3, the Fan. The good news is it looks as if Sean Salisbury is confirming a 4 o'clock appearance on today's program. 4 o'clock with Shawnee. Generally joins us, of course, on Thursdays. Some scheduling stuff came up, but he says to me he is ready to go or will be at 4 o'clock. We always look forward to those visits, especially during the Friday Football Beast. In addition, on the Beast, of course, prediction segment with Carl Gerbschmidt. That'll be right around 3:30-ish, 3:35, right in that range. And the other Friday regulars are, I think, confirmed. Ben, as far as I know, Ben Gessling at 4:30, and we expect Lavelle. Maybe he'll surprise us, make one of those studio appearances. He does that every once in a while. Either way, Lavelle is scheduled for 5:30 tonight. I mentioned the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line, 64686. Are we playing with FAR? What do I mean? Like, who's the we? What's the FAR we're playing with? Well, the we would be, and I think this is apropos, given this is the Friday Football Beast, your favorite football team, the favorite pro football team, the Minnesota Vikings. Are we playing with fire? Not because we're heading into a particularly dangerous part of the schedule, although I guess if you believe in the notion that Fat Cats get slaughtered, there is that danger of taking your next 3 opponents, certainly the next 2, for granted, even though they're all road games. They're all very beatable teams, starting with Jacksonville on Sunday, and then I think it's Tennessee the next week, and then I believe it's the Bears in Chicago. These are all games that this club kind of sort of needs to win at this point. Even when the schedule before the season began, we evaluated it and assumed that the Vikings might start like 0-6 or 1-5. There was always a feeling that, well, if you can get to that soft underbelly of the middle part of the schedule, you might have something. Well, that's where we are now. And the question is, do the Vikings take full advantage of it? Do they meander? What do you do? What are you supposed to do with a team that's pretty much ready to quit, right? You do the boot on the throat thing early, and you don't encourage them to thinking, hey, we're here. We're kind of in this game. Maybe we should have some fun and try to go out and win one, because we don't get to win very many. What the hell? We're here. Let's see if we can win it. That's the goal when you're playing a team like Jacksonville. You get on them early, and you discourage them from thinking they might be able to hang around and actually steal the thing. Now, how could the Vikings play with their food, to use that new sports cliche? Well, one of the ways is play down to the competition. But how does that manifest itself? Well, one of the ways it can manifest itself is the dreaded turnover, correct? And that's the playing with fire part of this discussion. I'm looking at the turnover stats. In other words, the times that your team has turned the ball over, right? And the number for the Vikings is not good. In fact, we are tied with Blakemore's Green Bay Packers for the fifth most turnovers committed. Both teams are at 13. It's not a good number. But part of the reason I think we haven't made such a big deal of the number is what? Well, it's the same reason perhaps in Green Bay they can gloss over it. Outstanding on defensive takeaways. In fact, the Vikings and Packers are 1 and 2 when it comes to takeaways, what your defense is taking away. 17 for your Minnesota Vikings. Second again only to Green Bay. And so you play the math game. In terms of plus minus, your ratio, the Vikings are still a respectable +4. But are we playing with fire, assuming that the defense is going to be able to continue to take the ball away at the rate that it has? Could it be a skill of this team? Yes. Some of the analytics people say to a certain extent there's a significant amount of luck that enters into that. Therefore, don't expect you can continue to take balls away at the rate that you have to this point this season. Then it's a little concerning. And that's where I think the offense is indeed playing with fire. I don't think it's realistic to think that the defense is going to be able to keep taking the ball away. And we've seen a little bit of regression when it comes to the quarterback. Last week, made a lot of really good throws. Overall yardage numbers outstanding. I think even the completion percentage was very good. I mean, not Goff good. That's impossible, but close. But he gave the ball away 3 times. Fumble is included, and we've talked about, he has been, I don't think he's fumbled that much this year, as much this year as he's tended to in his career. But are you going to be able to get away with 3 turnovers against teams more accomplished than the Colts? I'm not sure you are. As it is, it was still a tense game. I mean, the Colts had the ball in Vikings territory with 5 minutes to go, a chance to run out the clock and maybe score the game-winning touchdown. So even with the Colts, it was not, it may have felt like a gimme. You may have said, well, I never really felt they were going to lose. But the fact of the matter is the Vikings were really not in control of that game until the final couple of minutes from any sort of, certainty standpoint. So to me, the number one goal, and by the way, this may be a week where it's easily attained. The number one goal this week should be cleanliness. Hold on to the football. don't be reckless with it, especially because you're playing a team that can be run on. Aaron Jones, I don't think, has been a bad fumbler this year. So this could well be a game where you don't even have to ask Sam Darnold to throw it 46 times, that you might well be able to do a lot of your damage on the ground, and your chances are better that you're not going to turn the ball over on the ground than if you are throwing it as often as the head coach, no question, would like to. So it's a number. Look, again, it's hard to argue with the Vikings record. It's impossible to argue with the Vikings record. It's a good record. But we're in the business of trying to stay ahead of what might turn it the other way. And what the good teams do is, even if they've got a good record, they don't kid themselves. And they go, we got to clean this up a little bit. I get it. Every good quarterback throws picks. You can't eliminate them exactly. His ratio is still, I don't think, horrible, Darnold's. But I think we're seeing it go. It's not just the interceptions, the kind of interceptions last week that I go, those are both of them look to me like ones where you go, what? Those are just not good throws, by the way, with other open receivers elsewhere on the field. So the moral is stop playing with fire. Stop making your job more difficult than it needs to be. Now that you've...
Your Minnesota Wild are red hot to start the season. Don't miss out seeing them in action. Tickets available now, wild.com/hockey tickets. That's wild.com/hockey tickets to get your tickets today.
So apparently, we've all assumed that, well, I shouldn't say assumed, but I think we felt that the tea leaves, if we were reading them properly, that Trevor Lawrence was not going to start for Jacksonville on Sunday. There have been hints of that all week. The official designation on Lawrence is questionable, which would give me the impression that means there's a greater chance than we've been led to believe, but maybe that's just the game that some of these coaches play. I don't know, but I think the official designation continues to be questionable on Trevor Lawrence. The thing I guess I had forgotten is that the backup, the former Pats starter, Mac Jones, who struggled there overall, clearly, was brilliant against us in a game in 2022. I remember almost nothing about this game. He threw for 382 yards and 2 touchdowns against us. Will you look up the score of that game? 2022 season, Brett Blakemore? 2022, the New England Patriots. And there's a part of me, I have zero credibility when it comes to which quarterback might be more dangerous after the path I led the listeners down last week, Garzi and I both, regarding Joe Flacco being a much, much tougher challenge than what the starter, the kid, Richardson, might represent. So take this as with a grain of salt, if you'd like. My credibility is not at an all-time high, but my gut tells me, well, then maybe in a way Jones would be more dangerous because he might be hungry. He's sort of been sitting there as a backup forever, right? And Lawrence has been mediocre. I mean, he's had a couple of moments, but he's never lived up to what his potential was supposed to be. This guy was viewed by some people, this guy's going to be an all-time great quarterback. He hasn't even been I don't even think he's been a top 10 National Football League quarterback yet.
Well, the good news for Vikings fans, despite Mac Jones going 28 for 39, 382 yards, 2 scores, the Vikings still won that game 33-26.
Oh, okay. So, and I don't even know. I don't recall. Did he score? So were some of his numbers garbage numbers where they were coming from behind? I'm not sure, but it will be worth watching, I guess, over the course of the weekend. The Vikings should just be flat out better, regardless of either of those quarterbacks. There was a reason the Patriots seemed to give up on Jones, although I think the dysfunction there probably had as much to do with the rest of the team as it did the quarterback himself. I think there's still a chance he's a guy who somebody might want to take a chance on, or give a second chance at. Let's face it. I mean, there's so much desperation at the quarterback position. We were talking about playing with fire earlier, and the Vikings' propensity now to turn the ball over too many times. Forgotten to a certain extent because the defense has bailed them out. So good at taking the ball away. I am reminded that one of the sneaky reasons that your Golden Gophers have fashioned now a 4-game winning streak and now have sort of turned around their record from a losing record to a winning record is a very good plus-minus when it comes to the turnover, takeaway turnover ratio of plus 12. That's pretty good, right? Now, again, a certain amount of that has to do with a defense that's been quite good statistically, 15 interceptions and 4 fumble recoveries as well. But that's been probably part of the success of your favorite college football team. This is a matchup, by the way, of the former Gopher quarterback and the current one. The former, of course, Ethan Kaliakmanis, who many of us lost ourselves in his arm when he first emerged back in 2022. The other is Max Brosmer. Kaliakmanis, the Gopher starter a year ago, had played extensively in 2022 as well. He moves on to Rutgers. And I don't think the Gophers tried really hard to convince him not to. And they go out and they get Max Brosmer. And I think I proclaimed this about 3 weeks ago, but it becomes even more germane now that they are matched up against one another. I don't think there's any real comparison between the two QBs in their new homes. I'm looking at the Brosmer numbers. Well, the thing that jumps out with him is completion percentage. He is at a very excellent 68.2%. Kaliakmanis, meanwhile, a very pedestrian 54.1%. The way even college football is played today, that's not very good if you're basically completing 1 out of every 2. Yardage, Brosmer is passed for almost 2,000 yards. He's at 1989. And Kaliakmanis is at 1650. Touchdowns and interceptions. Brosmer, 13 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, a very, I think, workable ratio. And Kaliakmanis is 9 touchdowns and 5 picks. If you care about old-fashioned quarterback rating, that's pretty much a blowout as well. For 2024, Brosmer is at 140.4, and Kaliakmanis is at 119.5. If you go with QBR, which isn't used, I don't think, as much in college, not a huge gap between them, but a gap still with Brosmer leading. So, in all seriousness, that was we call that an excellent trade, the way college football is set up these days. Now, the unfortunate part with Brosmer is the obvious. He's here for only the 1 year. I don't know if Kaliakmanis has like 5, maybe, I never understand. We got quarterbacks who stay around for 5, 10 years, 15 at a time, it seems like. But no comparison between the promise that Kaliakmanis showed but didn't really deliver on last season and what Brosmer did. And I'll admit, there was a part of me early in the season that said, well, it's going to be an interesting test because we're going to find out. Is it that Kaliakmanis didn't have in him what we thought he had, or is it he really wasn't coached well enough that other coaches are going to get something out of him that the Gophers didn't? And again, I think we have a pretty definitive answer. No, it's not coaching. He's okay. He is just not great. And Brosmer, he did not have a great week last week, but compared statistically to what he'd been before. But as we talked about earlier, he made, on the key drive, he made one nice long pass to Jackson down the left sidelines. It was perfect. And he made the passes on that drive he needed to make. So he was very good. And I'm hoping the people who know PJ the best will also remind him that last week we saw for the first time what some of the added value there you can get out of a good respected passing game. Because it looked to me as if Bielema, coaches generally have a decision to make, defensive coaches, where they go, all right, what are they better at? What's their other team's offense better at? Is it running or throwing? And the scouting report should have shown that, well, they're a lot better throwing right now than they are running, believe it or not. So, to that extent, most defensive coaches will say, well, we're going to load up trying to limit that passing game. We're going to try to frustrate their passing game. Now, to get something, sometimes you got to give something up, but we'll take our chances that we can handle the running game because it hasn't been particularly good. I would argue that the way the Illini went about their defensive business, though, did open the door to greater running chances. And that's exactly what happened. Gophers had their best running game, one of the best running games of the season, correct? So to PJ, who I think has always just wanted to scratch the running itch, he now has tangible evidence in that game of, well, coach, here's why you still nurture and develop the passing game. Because even if you want to be a good running team, it can help you become a better running team than you might otherwise be, especially when the other team says, we're basically, our philosophy is they have to prove to us that they can run the ball. We'll take that chance because their passing game has been better than their running game. So that's, to me, the value of versatility in your offense. If you can get a good passing game going, eventually it might help spur your running game, even if it has struggled more than you are accustomed to and more than you could have hoped. So beyond that, it's a chance for the Gophers. We've said, look, there are limits to what they can accomplish this season because of the way they started, but the winning streak has clearly elevated their bowl possibilities. And here's the other thing, the other way I look at it. If you can beat Rutgers, then I think you add more excitement to the Penn State game, right? Where my guess is Penn State will still be favored, but I don't look at Penn State as great. If you have an active winning streak going into that game, I think the buzz and anticipation for it will be far greater than if it was another one of those seasons where you're kind of meandering in and out, or perish the thought you do what they did last year, which was go 0-4 November, as I recall. So they're in the mix, and that game, of course, will be on the Fan, as I said, 11 on Saturday, and then it's the Vikings is a noon game, correct?
I believe so. Yes, it is a noon game. This
might be PST. If the Gophers win out and play a good game against Penn State, they'll be in the college football playoffs. I don't think that's true. I think there may be a path if literally they win out the rest of the way, depending on what happens to some other teams. The problem is you probably got one loss too many to really be in that conversation, even though you will have finished strong, very strong. But no, it's PST to think that even just playing a good game against Penn State will be enough. They've got, is it 3 losses total?
Yes.
Yeah, we got 3 losses, and that ain't going to get it. No, there's no chance that's going to get it done. If you beat Penn State and some other, like let's say Indiana comes back to the pack, for example, or other things happen, could you end up being on the fringes? Maybe, but even then, I think it's unlikely. But you got to put down the hookah, man. If you think a good moral victory loss to Penn State will be enough to put you in the playoffs. I mean, it's not like, maybe if there were 24 teams or 48 teams, but not 12, I don't think.
I mean, we're not talking about historically good football schools like the Indiana Hoosiers. You know what
exactly.
I mean? So, we're different classes here.
100% true.
Talking about
100% true. Let me get to a couple of texts, and then we'll prepare for Gerby. Don't forget, Sean Salisbury is going to join us at 4 o'clock. I'm not saying he's better, but you also have to compare the teams they're on. That's fair. Part of it is, okay, what does Callie McManus have around him compared to what Brosmer has around him? That's certainly some of it, but I think even by objective analysis, one quarterback has indeed been better. Now, would Brosmer be this good if he was on Rutgers? I don't know. Maybe the better way to look at it is, all I'm interested in comparing is, how did Callie McManus do with the Gophers? Okay, I've got that registered. how has Brosmer done with the Gophers? It's not close. There's not any meaningful comparison. So to me, that's probably the better way to look at it. Dan, if you remember, the Vikings had different defensive coordinator. Every quarterback that year threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, that was pre-Beeflo, correct? Who was the coordinator? You hated him too, because didn't you guys fire him?
Donatel.
It was that Donatel, right?
Yeah.
Everything was Donatel's fault, and maybe a lot of it was. But I always wary when everything is blamed on the coordinator. But there's several Donatel texts have indeed come in. One other one. Let me scroll down just a bit. Oh, don't forget Gessling today at 4:30. Lavelle. See if we can get him going at 5:30 today. God dang it! Why is I'm trying to scroll down here and my cursor's not working very well. Here we go. What is the record for games for a team with 0 turnovers this year? I don't know. Do you know the record? Is he trying to make some sort of a point there? I'm aware that there are going to be mistakes made. There's no question about that. I'm saying, trust me, if I tell you we'd be making a bigger deal about the numbers for the Vikings, that it's too reckless if you didn't have a defense that was turning the ball over as often as it has to this point. Andy in Mesa, I really like the change living in Arizona. Earlier programming, love it. Being from Minnie, I didn't mind it, but long nights got longer. He's talking about my question of how you've coped with the switch once again from daylight saving time to standard time, correct? We're back on standard time.
What was the article that you and Guards you were going back and forth on that, like how to stay out of the sun or something like it was such a it was a ridiculous article.
It was something like that. I don't remember the specifics.
What do you think is more? Is worse, the time change or putting sunscreen on? We need an article.
We do
for that.
612 guy. The time change is simple. We roll back in the fall. I get an extra hour. Cool. We move forward in the spring. I take the following Monday off to get adjusted. And it's all really bleeping stupid. Just eliminate daily saving time. No, I'm in the minority. Well, I don't even know if I'm the minority. The loudest voices we shouldn't switch. Should stay the same year round. This is ridiculous. As if it's so traumatic, these changes. I think they work perfectly for where we live. I really do. Because then I think it's the idea of you get more of the daylight hours with the sun out during the summer, right? We all feel like if you get off of work at 4 o'clock, you got a lot of daylight to look forward to if you have things that you like to do. Get on a bike. Go, get high, whatever the case may be, and you like the fact that there's still daylight out there. I think I don't think there's any need for any particular change at this point. I don't think it's traumatic enough, and I actually think it serves our purposes. And I think a lot of people have been terrorized into thinking that it is a much more dangerous proposition than it actually is. Speaking of dangerous, how about a visit with Carl Gerbschmidt? The prediction segment is next.
40, he could go, 50, intercepted, and a touchdown to the 10, he will score.
It's time for the Bumper to Bumper award-winning NFL prediction segment on The Fan, brought to you by Continental Diamond. Now, to help you break down this week's games, here's your favorite NFL wonk, Dan Barreiro.
It is indeed that time again. Don't forget, we've got Sean Salisbury at the top of the hour, and then at 4:30, Ben Gessling, Lavelle at 5:30. Carl joins us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline.
Hey, hello, Dan?
Yes, sir.
Is that Sean Salisbury? Is he like related to British royalty?
Not to my knowledge.
It sounds like that kind of name.
You think it's a very royal-sounding, elitist kind of name?
Sounds like he's hoity-toity.
Hoity-toity?
Yeah.
No, I think Sean would consider himself a bit more of a shot in a beer kind of a guy, kind of a guy, a belly up to the bar. Actually, your kind of guy. You like to think of yourself as a man of the people.
I am a man of the people.
I wouldn't know if I'd go that far.
Supervisor.
Yeah, you are a supervisor. Hey, how volatile does it get at the office post-election like this, where you have half the population that's ecstatic and the other half that apparently is in depression? Do you try to bring the two sides together? Do you leave it alone? Do you let it fester? How do you handle the political seasons given the authority that comes with your job?
Well, as a supervisor, as part of my job, I try to, keep the morale in the office up.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, this is a weird time, Dan. I mean, it's normally we're public servants here for the Department of Transportation. So we enjoy it when, say, the Democratic candidate wins. But I'm also living in kind of rural Wisconsin. And, that's the other side. So
Yes.
I think the best thing for me, generally,
Stay out of
I
it?
have found
Yeah.
is pretend that it never happened.
Oh, just okay,
Just
ignore
pretend
it.
it. Just don't, never bring it up, because you can't. Because if you say, hey, let's all get along,
Right.
that makes people mad.
That's true.
It makes both sides of the thing mad.
You lose
I don't want
everybody.
to get along. I don't want to get along.
Yeah.
We lost.
Yeah.
And people don't want to get along, Dan.
Do you
That's why we have things like KFAN Connection.
to bring them together? So you're saying,
bring people together.
well, there's your bit right there. Post-election is that whether you are a Trumper or you are a Harriser, with Packer
I
Fan
don't think
Connections.
that's the right word. I wouldn't use that word.
Well, it's probably not.
Sound like
Yeah. But you get my point that in Packer Fan Connections world, none of that matters. We all
Then we
come
just
from the
like the
same amoeba, correct?
well, we all like the Packers.
Oh, you all like the Packers and you all want to get laid.
Well, Dan, you don't have to do that on the first date. That's not necessary.
Well, no. I guess that's true.
Some
Second?
people would rather have a more meaningful, kind of a deeper connection.
Oh.
Now, I'll admit, there's some people who just want to go for it. But,
Like Randy included?
well, again, I don't know if Randy even understands how to have a deeper connection.
Probably true.
And nor do I think it would be healthy for anyone to do that.
Now, do you...
No,
Go
we're
ahead.
going on vacation this week. We're bringing Randy with us.
Where are you headed, can you
'cause
say?
we just kind of, it's a bye week, Dan. I don't know if you know that or not. To be honest, I'm surprised you're even doing this.
I wondered why you weren't, you had no game this week. That's why. Bye week for your club?
It's a bye week. We're going to Orlando to theme parks.
Oh, which, all of them or several of them or one in particular?
We were kind of just going to do Disney, but Randy wanted to do the Harry Potter park.
Yeah, I want to do the Harry Potter park.
Because he has a wand.
I'm sure he does.
He does.
Oh, okay.
And it's a very technically advanced wand.
All right,
too.
sure.
It lights up at certain
Oh,
times.
okay. Good to know.
So he's very excited about that. So we'll do that and just try to get away
Great. Good idea.
and not think about stuff for a while.
No, just let it all go. Do you like in the office, do you have like for people who say they need extra time to recover from the election cycle?
From what?
Well, they
First of all, in Wisconsin, we got more damn commercials for the election than you could possibly.
Yeah, you did. You were a swing state. You were a blue wall state.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's what you're told. It didn't work out that way for the blue wall, but
All I know is that you couldn't get away from it. I mean, it's president,
Yeah.
senator, and governor. It's like, my God, just settle down, people.
yeah.
I mean, do you know, Dan, anyone in the whole world that in the last, if you saw a campaign ad in the last week that changed your mind?
I would be.
I don't think it ever happened.
I would be stunned if research suggested it did, but I tend to agree with you. I think it's the two parties, the two sides just feel obligated. We got all this extra money. We got to spend it, and we got to just keep going.
You should spend it at PackerFanConnections.com.
Yeah,
I mean, don't.
Yeah.
Think about all. If you, the whole thing bugs me, Dan. The whole election thing bugs me.
The whole cycle? Yeah.
I don't like it.
No.
I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, you're not alone. A lot of people are very exhausted and weary of the entire process.
I would characterize myself as much. But we have to get ready for our paintball event that we got coming up, because that's coming up when we get back. So, and that's full.
That is full.
I think that probably we should put something up on the website. Okay, put something on the website that says it's full. Okay.
Is it really full?
It's really full.
All right.
And And we haven't. I was just kind of going through some of these emails that we were getting people signing up.
Yeah.
Randy has not done a diligent job clearing this email box.
You don't sound.
So if we have not gotten back to you right away, we're sorry. But again, I don't know why you get to go on vacation. Anyway.
Yeah, and you're rough on him. I'm not going to lie.
Dan, it's like,
you talk down to him a lot, it seems like.
Think about, how you handle Jordan. He doesn't do his job most of the time.
Not that different, you're saying.
You have to talk to him and keep him in line.
Yeah, I think Jordan is a little more professional than Randy, to be honest.
Where is he today?
He's here. He's right here.
Yeah. I talked to senior producer Brett Blakeman.
Oh, that one. Yeah, Jordan. I keep forgetting you call him Jordan. I still don't know what the backstory is there, but I guess I should know it by now. He's on his way to Rutgers. The Gophers are playing Rutgers. A college football game you're going to be watching.
That must be nice.
That's a big ball game.
A lot of flights to New York, huh?
We've got to get to some games, too, here, because we started a little bit late today.
Yeah.
We got Sean Salisbury at the top of the hour, royalty. We've got English royalty coming up at 4.
He's not related to the guy with the steak, though, right?
Well, he's never heard that one before.
What do you mean? That's a legitimate question, Dan.
No, it sounds like a bad joke.
I don't know, Dan. So you tell me then where the Salisbury steak comes from.
I have no idea. It has nothing to do with having the same name.
You're not curious enough to ask if he has something to do with it.
I'll ask him if he invented the Salisbury steak and they named it after him. I think he's too young because I think the Salisbury steak's been around for a while. I've never been a particularly big fan of the Salisbury steak. By the way, look at the standings right now. Guardsy bitter with Blakemore is bitter because you keep screwing him up, but he's still in first after a 1-2 week at 18-9. I went 2-1. I am at 15-12. Gerby bringing up the rear as usual after a 1-2 week. You are a miserable 12-15. First game
we had a little stumble in the Packer game.
Oh, that's for sure. Little? It's embarrassing. Lions, Texans.
Well, not like you beat them.
It's in Houston.
You didn't beat Detroit either.
No, that's for sure. Lions are kind of become the club everybody thinks is going all the way. Can they handle that kind of prosperity?
Report, they're pretty good.
Yeah, well, there's no question about that. They're favored.
I saw him in person. Have you seen him in person?
No. Impressive?
Okay.
Yeah.
I would go with my report rather than yours.
Lions are favored by 3.5 at Houston. Carl, you're first.
Yeah, it's a tough one because against the spread, Detroit's 5-0 in his last 5 games. Houston is 5-0 straight up in his last 5 games at home. And of course, if Houston was to cover this, then I don't think Houston is going to cover this. I think that Detroit's going to win again. And I know we took a lot out of them.
You did?
But I think Detroit's going to win.
Yeah. No, the rain took a lot out. They played like they're on a dry field. You played like you were in a monsoon. It's very weird.
I can report it was also rather wet.
Well, yeah, you made that clear via
text. We have a very young
Twitter.
team, Dan.
No, don't even start with that nonsense. I'm with you, though. The Texans, I think, are better than they've shown, but I think there's some frustration there, too, from the quarterback that they haven't shown it. 3.5 I think the Lions are going to probably win this game by 5 or 6. I will take Detroit to cover. What do we got for Guardsy, Brett?
I just wanted to say that I got an unsolicited text yesterday from Jordan saying, way to let the guys back into the pick segment race, bleeping bleep. Denver and Green Bay covering, what a mess.
He didn't like that at all. He was bitter. He told me that, too.
That's what I got to wake up to. So that was great.
Are you going to make the situation worse or better? What do you think?
Well, I feel like I have to just...
You guys complain about how I treat Randy.
Seriously. No respect here. So in that case, I have to just go with my brains and not what would make a good bit. I got to go Lions. They have the most points per game in the league, so I'm going Lions.
Jets are at Arizona, and the Jets are favored by 2.5.
What did you pick this game for?
I have no idea. I didn't pick it. Who picked this one? Did you pick this one? It's fine.
I did.
It's fine. It's Aaron Rodgers. The Cardinals are playing better than people thought they were. And it's in Arizona. Jets favored by 2.5.
And the Jets are favored?
Did you have that right?
I'm double checking it right now, and yes, they're favored by 2. But for the bit, we did 2.5.
For the bit, we do 2.5. Gerby, what do you think?
Well, it's honest 4-1 against the spread in its last 5 games, and Aaron Rodgers looks terrible. I'll take Arizona.
You're right again. I hate to.
Oh.
I mean, I feel bad picking.
Quit copying me.
Yeah, because usually that means trouble based on how bad you've been lately. But I don't understand how the Jets can be favored. The Cardinals are sneaky good. The quarterback's finally playing with more of an interest in winning than just the fancy stats and running around all over the place. So I think this is an easy one. I think the Cardinals absolutely cover. I think they win. What do you have, Brett?
I write all the picks down before, and I had Cardinals. So
Okay,
I mean,
you don't have to explain. That's
I
fine.
know I feel bad just copying the
You
whole thing.
you want to mix it up for the sake of the audience?
Vikings are favored by 6.5 at Jacksonville against Gerby's Jaguars. Have you ever seen a game? You ever have I'm sure the Packers have played down there. You ever gone to a Packer game in
Oh
Jacksonville?
yeah, I've never gone to the game.
Oh,
No, first of all, I'm not even quite sure where Jacksonville is.
it's in Florida, I
I
think.
think it's on the. I think yeah.
I mean, which
Dan,
side?
I figured that part right out.
Well,
There's lots of parts of Florida, Dan.
I take nothing for
It's not
granted in your
the
case.
Panhandle part, and it's not down near Miami.
Is it Atlantic
It's kind of up
or
in the other
is it
corner.
Gulf side or is it or Atlantic side? Is it the Gulf side or the
I think
Atlantic?
it's Atlantic side, kind of near Georgia,
Okay,
which is kind of Redneckville.
well, that's not very kind.
Well, they are rednecks, Dan.
Well, I'm not sure
So,
you're not either, but
The further north
see-
you go in Florida, the more south you get.
yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Who are you picking? I mean,
good.
we got,
I'm writing
we got
that one down.
Sean Salisbury coming
well,
up.
I think the thing is that the problem here is that Trevor Lawrence probably may not play.
Well, that could help the Jags.
But then again, I'm not sure that Minnesota can cover 6.5 points. That's too many points. I'll take Jacksonville and give you and get those points at home.
I think this is going to be the game the Vikings win pretty convincingly. I'm going to say by 10. I'm going to take Vikings to cover, although it's a lot of points in the road. I grant you, I will still take Vikings. Lastly, Britt?
I'm going to agree with you, Dan. I'll go Vikings on the road against a bad team.
Sorry, Carl. We didn't agree with you on that one.
That's okay.
You can make up some ground.
I'm on vacation.
Are you RVing
yeah.
it to Florida or flying?
Oh, we're flying.
You
Dan.
are okay. I'm just asking. You're a big RV guy. I thought it's possible.
My wife does a lot of conventions in her job.
Right.
So we got lots of points.
Oh, nice. Oh, this big.
Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, my wife and I have enough points to sit in first class.
Well, what about
Randy? can
Randy?
Sit back in the back.
That's not very kind. That's not very kind.
Dan, you don't want to see if you're getting on a plane
Yeah.
and you're gonna take a trip. It's like I don't know. It's like a 3-hour trip. But you don't want to walk onto a plane and see my brother Randy first thing.
Well, what is? I mean,
No.
is he like a slob? Does he? He's not
You
one
can
of those.
sit in the back.
He's not one of those guys who takes his shoes and socks off and then puts his feet up on the armrest in front of him. Is he?
If he would keep his pants on, I'd be happy.
Oh my
okay?
God, that's jarring. That's a jarring bit of imagery I wasn't expecting this afternoon.
Well, congratulations, Dan, and go Pack.
That is Carl Gerbschmidt, apparently on vacation, headed to Florida. Lots of show yet to come on the Friday Football Beast. Up next, it is Sean Salisbury giving us some time today. We look forward to that visit, generally with us on Thursdays. But he will join, give us his preview of Vikings, Jags, and much more. Maybe even a look back at a very entertaining Thursday night game as well. Stay tuned.